completed. That went well. In April, we completed our assessments of all the playgrounds and the parks with an outside contractor as far as risk management and playground compliancy. So that was a pretty good task that we had worked about 3 years on. And then in doing that, we're able to actually focus our efforts throughout the year on anything that's not in compliance to bring that up to standard. In April, we also completed installation of new engineered wood fiber in all of the playgrounds, which a few of those had recently new wood fiber that was put in due to the park improvements, but we actually went through and redid all of the playgrounds. So that was a pretty good accomplishment, that there was some of those playgrounds in some of the parks that were in dire need of that. We also completed the port in place surfacing at Upjohn Park, which was a pretty good project, and that made that park completely accessible now with the new port in place surfacing. And along at Upjohn, we also had a local artist that we contracted with to paint the skate park. So that was a pretty nice project that went really well, and it spruced things up a bit. And then one of the big things I wanted to talk about was Bronson Park is set to be completed this week. So
good.
Yeah, that's another thing that we finally get to check off the list. I believe they're going to be installing the stele tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time, but that'll be one of the last pieces that'll be going in. And then the landscaping that's left to be done will be done. I'm not sure if they did any of it this afternoon, but it's supposed to be done by Thursday. So
good.
The majority of what I had to highlight tonight. If you guys have any questions or anything.
Yeah, what parks failed the risk assessment or are in most need of being
the one that stands out the most, Paul, is probably Millam's Playground, and
good.
being addressed with the application we put in for the DNR Trust Fund grant for that playground work there for in the spring. So that'll be the one that'll be redone right away. A lot of that structure and those playground equipment pieces were really old. So that one was one of the major ones. And then some of the other ones weren't really a lot of risk or, hazards. One of them that comes to mind is Southside. That playground's missing some bolts and some equipment that actually the playground piece has kind of outlived its lifespan, but it's not in any type of a hazardous situation. We just have to try and fabricate some stuff with the manufacturer next spring to bring that into compliance. So,
which one was it?
At Southside.
Oh,
so we'll be working on that.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Recreation Department update. Ashton, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, so this summer, I think I touched on this last time I was here, I think in August, but I'll just go through it quickly. So we ran our Super Rec program starting in early July. As opposed to running camps, we just went with all Super Rec, which are free to Kalamazoo City residents. Maximum of 50 kids per site. We had 4 different sites, all maxed out all summer long. We were keeping in pods of 10 to make sure everyone was safe, and we had COVID protocols where we were checking temperatures, and we had a questionnaire we were asking daily, and we got through the summer with no health issues, and so that was a success. And we also, again, we were maxed out daily for each site. We also ran All Things Possible program. That program transitioned. It was previously a one session all summer long program for incoming freshmen. We changed that this year to 3 2-week sessions so we could get more youth enrolled. And also just to kind of accommodate with COVID, we had to move to a smaller location, so we couldn't fit as many kids as we did at our previous location of Western Michigan Student Recreation Center. That was either 14 or 15, all 3 sessions, and the max was 15. So that was really good as well. Let's see here. We also right now are doing our virtual learning support program. So those are hosted at Mayors and also YDC, where we have 15, which is max for elementary at Mayors right now, where the kids are coming in and they have stations where they're set up daily, and we have between 3 and 4 staff on site to be able to help make sure they're on task and help tutoring as able to make sure they get their work done on time and stay on task. We also get them outside, again, as able when schedules permit and weather permits, to get them a little recreation time. And then we're at the YDC with some middle school and high school kids. Same thing there, keeping them on task, tutoring as able, and getting a little recreation time outside as well. This summer, we were lucky enough to host Lunchtime Live and movies all summer long. Lunchtime Live, we saw a much smaller crowd, which is a good thing. I think we can all agree there. We had between 8 and 10 vendors on average on a weekly basis, down from closer to 20 on an average year. And we used to see between 300 and 500 people throughout the 2-hour event. And now this year it was closer to 100 or 2 each week, but that's throughout a 2-hour event. And those are estimates. We don't have a great system for counting, but based on just some educated guesses and looking around the park, that's what we come up with. Movies, we actually did host those every other weekend throughout the summer, and we were able to count. And I counted every movie I was at, and it was either just less than 100 or right around 100. So it was perfect. We didn't advertise it super far and wide because we wanted to be around that 100 mark, because as you guys probably call it this summer, that was the magic number. So we were happy that we actually got right about to it. People were socially distanced. We showed them at a variety of parks throughout the summer. And then we just completed our Halloween Forest. That was Shannon's first big event for us. She was here with the summer, but that was her first big event, and she did a great job. We were able to do tea times essentially, so kind of like golf, where we did reservations for families to come in, no more than 5 per household. And every 3 minutes we had them checked in and onto the first station, and they kind of followed a guided trail through games and activities throughout the event. It took about 40 minutes to get through. What else that? Again, previously mentioned, but the pool did not open this year, but we were able to get the surface refinished with a nice membrane that has a 10-year warranty, and we won't have to tackle that on a yearly basis anymore. We also got the locker rooms and office painted, and the YDC non-masonry exterior was also repainted. A lot of information. I know I talk fast, so does anybody have any questions regarding those?
Thank you, Ashton. Why don't we get back to our agenda now that we have a quorum? Let's do a roll call. John Johnson is here. Chris Bowl.
Here.
Chris Patchell. Pam Rowland, I believe, didn't she contact you, Sean?
No, she emailed me and said that she's not going to be here.
Shannon, okay, thank you. Paul Tenney.
Here.
Commissioner Liaison Eric Cunningham just joined us. Do we have any guests, Shannon?
No, not for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any changes to the agenda? Any special presentations? Approval of the October minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve those minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Old business, Glen Park South. Is that going to be you, Sean?
Yeah, I think you guys know we sent the letter. I sent it to the folks that I had email addresses for. I also sent it to the Oakland Drive Winchell Neighborhood Association. They did acknowledge that they received it. They would like to have either our board or board chair and board vice chair visit one of their meetings, one of their upcoming meetings. I'm still waiting on a date and time for that. So I'm sure they're digesting that information, and we'll set up a time to meet with them. That would be the next step. And then hopefully we can get to a point where everybody's okay with moving forward. I'm sure there will be some that won't be okay, but I think we can move the work forward, and then probably most likely plan on getting started in the spring, but we'll see how that process all goes.
But Sean, we need to have from my understanding, a vote from the city commission, correct?
Well, I don't know that there's a process. I mean, when we go to make improvements in a park, the city commission doesn't vote on that necessarily. It's typically improvements to a specific park are approved in the budget, the capital budget. But this not being a budgeted item where we're saying, yeah, in 2027, we're allocating, $100,000 to Glen Park South. Because it's not a budgeted improvement, the city commission, wouldn't approve it.
Got
We
it.
could certainly get in front of them and let them know, what our process has been, how we've communicated, how we've engaged the neighborhood, which we still need to do. And obviously doing that through the neighborhood association will be helpful. We'll be able to gauge, what people are thinking and how they're feeling. It could be a situation where if there's enough opposition and support, that it's certainly something we can update the city commission about. But historically, to my knowledge, this isn't something they would necessarily vote on. So.
Okay. I think that's good news. I like that. And that seems to make sense. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, they have a lot on their plate right now. I don't know that we necessarily need to not bog them down, but I think this is something we keep them informed about and make sure they know that it's out there in case they get phone calls from concerned residents or people that have, an opinion one way or the other. So
Now, is this something that we utilize Eric to help us out with, or?
potentially, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, we would keep them all engaged, and certainly Eric would have kind of the leg up, being involved in these meetings. So.
Sure.
Do we use this opportunity right now to inform Eric of what's going on, or are you pretty in the loop?
What was the park? Is that the skate park?
No, this is excuse me. This is Glen Park is an underutilized. Sean, I wouldn't call it an abandoned park, but
It's an empty. It's a lot that was given to us. Essentially, you would typically see a house built in a lot like this. There's a house on either side, and it's not a park that we are necessarily going to develop unless there's tremendous outcry from residents and the people in the neighborhood. It's a very passive space.
yeah,
Where
and
is it at?
it's wide open as far as undergrowth. It's kind of hilly. There's a lot of terrain, and it's right on was it Parkview to the south and Kensington? Is that correct on the north?
Yeah, it's in the Winchell neighborhood.
It's in the south side of Winchell neighborhood, and we've had an idea to do something with that park for for a while now. And in the spring, we thought it would be a great place for elementary school age kids to go and ride bikes. So we are proposing like a 3rd mile bike path for elementary school kids.
Like a
Yeah,
dirt
I
trail.
remember the conversation around it. I think you guys checked in with the neighborhood association also.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think for us, we probably won't object to it much as long as they're in on it. That's where the city commission will probably challenge is, have you reached out to the surrounding community and what did they say?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely meet with the neighborhood association, and we've had some communication with some residents that were either not supportive or very supportive. We've sent information to both. There was a lot of questions and concerns, and a lot of things were said that weren't accurate. So we kind of clarified a lot of that and answered some questions that people had. So I think we're headed in the right direction, but we do have some more engagement to do for sure.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Do we have a farmer's market update?
Yeah, I can give you just kind of a quick update. We are combining phase 1 and phase 2. The big chunk of what was going to be phase 2 was going to be the parking lot to the south where the old MRC building would have been located and demolished about 3 years ago. What this does is really all the site work gets done for the market in one season or 1 year, one construction season, and we only have to move the market one time versus potentially 2. As you and I were talking about, John, a little before the meeting started, some of the benefits of this would be, we hope to see some really good price breaks as far as the concrete, asphalt and such by doing all the work at once versus having to mobilize twice. If you're doing all the concrete, all the asphalt at one time, you should get better bid prices for those quantities of asphalt and concrete. So everything would be done, including the Bank Street realignment, all of the site work, all of the parking. The only things that would not get done as part of this would likely be the playground, which we are applying for a trust fund grant. And then also the building, the winter market building would be the last phase. And part of that's due in part to funding. It probably wouldn't get done for a few years, depending on when the funding comes in. And we're working with the People's Food Co-op on alternate locations, so stay tuned on that. But I think this will be a good thing. It likely would lead to construction beginning in April.
Okay. Is there any sort of sewer infrastructure that needs to be taken into consideration in that project?
Yeah, when the road gets realigned, there is some of that type of work that will be done. And through the planning process and site plan process, we've had to account for that in the road design. So that work would be done as well.
And before the meeting, you and I talked just briefly about wetland issues, perhaps.
Yeah, there is some wetland to the south, but through the site plan process and the requirements for stormwater and such, we actually have to create some places for water to go. And we're actually replacing, we're adding wetland, which is a good thing. And we're adding native species, and we'll get rid of a lot of the invasive things. The western edge of that site is riddled with invasive species, and we're going to address that through the improvement process for sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Patrick took care of our Parks Department update, Chris, before you got here. Ashton took care of the recreation department update before Chris was able to join us. We need to discuss our 2021 meeting dates. Did anyone have any questions about those? I think the only concern I had was for the November meeting, which would be Election Day. I don't know if anyone has a concern about that.
I don't. I think a lot like this year. I don't know. I'm going to be voting absentee now, probably permanently. So I'm fine with it. And I don't know. It's going to be a lot easier to vote. I would expect in a year than it was this year, anyway. So.
Right.
Same for me.
Yeah. I personally don't have any concern with it. Eric, would you have any concern? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept those meeting dates?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed meeting dates for 2021.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That passes. Our event recommendations, the Kalamazoo Institute Arts Bronson Park Art Fair on June 4th through the 6th. Do we want to take these separately? Does anyone have any questions about that event? Any concerns?
I'm sorry, John, what event are we talking about right now?
Kalamazoo Institute of Arts Bronson Park Art Fair,
Got it.
June 4th through June 6th. I guess my question in general, perhaps for Shannon and Sean, can we ask people at this point when they're interested in an event, can we ask them about some sort of COVID protocol or perhaps a plan B?
I think what we're doing is approving things contingent on whatever executive orders, whatever guidelines, whatever's out there at the time. And knowing that in June, who knows, what we're going to be faced with. I think, and Shannon can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're kind of communicating that to folks that, you will have to follow, whatever guidelines and whatever executive orders are out there. And through the approval process, the special event approval process, we actually make that clear that, because you're getting an event approved, you would have to follow, whatever's in place at the time. So.
Yeah, that's correct. When I send them the approval letters, I let them know that they have to follow the current executive orders at the time.
And I'll just note that their 2020 event looks like they canceled. So, I mean, they did the responsible thing this year.
Right.
So hopefully that's a good sign for the future.
Yeah, this looks good to me. 40,000 people seems like a lot to have in the park over the course of a day and a half, but other than that, looks good.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the KIA event in Bronson Park.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Paul. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes. Griffin Place Suicide Prevention Walk at Bronson Park, September 25th, 2021. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I looked at this. I didn't have any issues with this, and I would make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Yeah, I'll second your motion, Paul.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That event passes. I don't see any citizens to comment.
We'll see if Joe has any comments. We can ask Joe. He's watching right now. Somebody might have called in and left a comment.
We have no comments.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Eric, do you have any comments for us tonight? Thank you. Sean, you're our Friends of Recreation liaison. Do you have any?
Yeah, just one quick thing. We did have a very successful golf outing. I think our title is Community Engagement Director. Much like the Halloween event, we had a gorgeous weather day for the event, and through donations and sponsors and golfers and games and activities, she and the board were able to have a really, really successful event, well attended, and made a decent amount of money. So really, that's really good news. Obviously, more money in the bank for scholarships for kids to attend programs. So that was a really, really positive thing.
Good. Thanks, Sean. Any further information on your director's report?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. One of the areas we're kind of focused on for 2021 in the Parks Division is we're really looking at all the grass that we mow, and it is a lot. We have a significant mowing contract, and we're really looking at it from an environmental standpoint too, and looking at, if the mowing companies out there mowing, they're burning gas, they're use carbon emissions, exhaust emissions. And so one of the things we've started to look at, late in the summer and into the fall is, do we need to cut all the grass that we're currently cutting? There are some parks that we could look at, some areas that are not, they're not used by people. They aren't soccer fields, they aren't common areas, they're just kind of off. The other side of it is it does, if you let the grass grow a little, cut it maybe a couple times a year instead of year round, it does create some habitat for some insects and butterflies and smaller animals. So just taking a look at that would save us a significant amount of dollars that we would look to redeploy to make other repairs and other maintenance items within the park. So just trying to be efficient with our dollars and utilize, the money that we have, and also being, conscious of some environmental benefits too. So we'll keep you posted on that. I have met with Pam in MLK Park. It is in need of some improvements. We have one of the complaints we've gotten about that park is Harkins Court, which is the little road that is on the north side of that park. There's a lot of loitering and a lot of littering that happens on that road. So we're working with public safety to create, that road would essentially be closed to vehicle traffic. Pedestrians can walk through there still. It really doesn't serve a purpose. There's no entrances to businesses off Harkins Court. It's really just a little cut through. The other thing that's going to allow us to do is remove some cement flags of sidewalk that are really causing some issues for the trees on that side of the park. We will put a path in on that north side of the park. And what we're actually going to do is going backwards a little bit, Verburg Park, we had planned some improvements for that park. The Kalamazoo River, the EPA is doing some cleanup on that river that's going to take a significant amount of time. So we have the ability to work with our finance and budget folks to move some dollars around. And we are going to make some improvements to MLK Park, sidewalks, irrigation. It will get trees along the southern border between the park and the train tracks. We will work on the planting beds. I mentioned closing Harkins Court. There's some sidewalk on either east and west side of the park that needs to be cleaned up. We'll do some stamped concrete. Some of the bricks are sinking. It's in need of some upgrades. I think Patrick mentioned previously that we had the MLK statue cleaned and waxed and detailed. It really looked fantastic when they got done. So we did get some cost estimates, and we'll look to do some improvements in MLK next year for sure. So I think that'll be nice. It's needed.
Good. Thanks, Sean. Any staff comments? Shannon, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I don't have anything to add that I can think of right now.
Okay, thank you. Any board member comments? Paul, do you have any comments?
Sure. Visited, I guess, Millen Park a couple times this last month, Crane Park and Upjohn, and thought they were all in good condition and looked nice, and looked really nice this fall because of the trees changing and stuff. So that was good to see. And then I guess one comment would just be that I don't know how much the parks really is in control of it, but there's the trail system, you know, through town that connects the KVRT and all the different trail systems. And I feel like sometimes in downtown, I get lost on it and not really sure where it continues. And I just wonder if there's any way to add some signs, maybe that would show people where to go, because there's a point kind of near the Bronson Hospital that I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go next if I want to stay on the trail. But then I do find it again when I cross onto like the mall or something, when I get past the north part of the mall.
We can work
Anyway.
with public services on that. We'll have to work through and with them to address that, but I think we can. I wrote myself a note.
Okay, cool.
I can elaborate on that a little bit, Paul. I know there's a section from Upjohn Park heading north that goes by Bronson Hospital. And
Yeah,
Sean,
that
correct me if I'm wrong, but it's supposed to hop Portage Road there and then cut up the east side of Portage Road. And then the office park where our office is going to have the path that goes through and crosses Kalamazoo Ave, and then reconnect with the other sections of the trail over there. So I know that still needs to be completed, and COVID put the brakes on a lot of that.
Yeah, we do have a DNR trust fund grant for that Walnut to Pitcher section. So we're on pace to have that done next year as well. That's not a complicated project, so we're hopeful to get that one done next year.
Yeah, and then to elaborate on your confusion, I know on the north side heading west to east, I think you head behind Bell's, and then there's like the River Church back there, and it gets a little wonky back there too. And additional signage or maybe even markings on the road would be an added bonus to there.
Yeah.
Anything else, Paul? Okay, thank you. Chris, any comments?
No, as always, I'm just excited about the Glen Park Kids bike path. So I appreciate updates on that every month. And yeah, Sean, as soon as you hear anything, let us know. So we can be there for you.
Absolutely.
I guess the only comment I wanted to make is that, Upjohn Park is in my neighborhood, and I did see the skateboard park paint job that Patrick had mentioned previously, and it looks really nice. It's still a fair amount of graffiti there, but I don't know if there's really anything that can be done about that.
Yeah, we're working on getting power closer to the skate park so we can put in the right type of camera so we can start to identify some license plates and hopefully grab a couple folks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I want to say it was a week after we had the graffiti artist in there. We did see on the camera that we had by the pool, 3 people pulling a truck around 8 o'clock. I think it was 3 or 4. and you see them get out and go into the skate park and they do their thing. But we couldn't get a license plate. So we're actually working with the city electrician to figure out if we can mount the camera that we have that's above the pool right now. See if we can mount that on a light pole closer to the skate park. So
Yeah,
it's the graffiti there is definitely an issue. And Patrick will tell you that I've been asking, and how do we, and it bugs me too, is it's so close to the public safety station. It's like literally 3 blocks. So yeah, it's frustrating.
yeah, and I've noticed it quite a bit on the signs as well along the trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how you prevent that, but it is, one, it's unsightly, and it's a little unnerving knowing that's gang graffiti, to see that.
Yep.
So,
John, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? I'm not familiar with the situation.
there's signs along the walking bike trail that leads up through Upjohn Park, past Bronson Hospital. There's quite a bit of graffiti on the actual signs themselves, and I've actually noticed a few symbols on the pavement as well. And I'm not an expert on gang graffiti, but I assume that it's gang graffiti on the pavement as well. So,
Yeah, some of it is. I drive on my route to work. I see a little bit of it too. So it's
yeah,
those things that it's just those little spots where there's not the right amount of light, and people get back in there and do their thing. So
well, and I think from experience, if you do something about it, it continually comes back. So I don't know how that type of activity is stopped.
Yeah.
So anyway,
there's no easy solution really.
right, exactly. So that's the comments I have. If anyone else has any further comments.
I did have a couple quick things. I just wanted to acknowledge the Parks Division, the Recreation Division. It's been like for everybody, it's been a difficult year. And the Parks Division has had a couple full-time people off due to injury. We had some issues, around COVID, obviously, like everybody did. But still we're able to keep the parks, looking pretty darn good, considering some of the challenges. And then, Ashton and his youth team, and, even the youth, the part-time youth staff that we have working that, pulled off a summer without any positive COVID tests. And we were able to have kids, participating in programs, that really needed, something to do during the summer months, and even continuing into the fall with the learning hub model. So just not an easy year, but a lot of hard work, a lot of planning for the unknown. But all in all, I think a very good job. And I do want to say about the Halloween Forest, Shannon and the Parks Division, the Rec Division pulled off a great event for the community when the community probably needed it really badly. So we were able to adapt and make it work. And we were rewarded with a beautiful weather day. So sometimes it just kind of all comes together and works out. And we had a lot of happy people, a lot of happy kids at that event, and that's why we do what we do. So I just want to acknowledge their efforts throughout the summer months. It was not easy, but good work for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, that I'm glad to hear that. And I think the city residents are glad to see that type of activity. So
yeah,
we appreciate Ashton and Shannon. Thanks for your hard work.
And Patrick was on, he's having a computer issue, so the VPN kicked him off and now he can't get back on. So we've all
Okay,
dealt with that this summer and fall to an extent, so.
yeah. I appreciate everybody coming tonight. I believe we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
All right, thanks, friends. See you later.
Yep, see you guys.
Bye.